Welcome! On this channel, I review watches from my personal collection as well as do score-based analysis of watch types. And today's video is a best of. I will show you the best watches you can use in military service. And that's the goal. That's what I was going for, watches that you actually will be allowed to use. There are 100 semifinalists in this video, which will compete in 7 semifinal categories to narrow down to 50 finalists. And those 50 finalists are the top options for military service, in my opinion. But I'm going to go to the top 10. I subject those 50 watches to 6 rounds of subjective evaluations, such as wearability, affordability, illumination, looks, stuff like that. At the end, you'll see the top 10, the 5 runners-up, and there's going to be a couple bonus categories as well. Enjoy. It's been a long saga to finally get here. I'm going to show you the top 10 watches I think you'll actually be able to use in the military. I think your commanding officer is going to let you have it. Again, it's been a long saga. Started in July. I had to change it to tactical, and then, I did the tactical top 10 last time. It's military this time. And of course, the reason I had to change it is because I had GPS watches in there. In the military, you cannot. GPS, Bluetooth, that stuff's forbidden. And I didn't want to redo everything, so I did tactical. I rolled with tactical. But today, we're doing top 10 military. I used all those scores from the first one, adjusted them slightly. And we're going to look at the best military watches you can actually use in the military. It's a smaller number because I took out the GPS and all that stuff. Only 202 watches were considered. If you want to see the top 10, go ahead and skip ahead now. Even the Atomic might be iffy because it has a radio receiver inside it. So I just took those out just to be safe. The colors are an issue with military watches. You can't have any. I think Army regulation says it needs to be conservative. They just need to be subdued colors because it can't clash with your uniform. So some of the watches have been swapped out, that sort of thing. Military love tritium, so I gave tritium a bonus. Tritium illumination gets a 2-point boost. All of those do. I found out that officers are encouraged to wear analog watches. Looks a little more sophisticated, apparently. So there's a boost to the analogs. They're kind of on equal footing now, the digitals and analogs. So that'll be good. And since it is military and guys like things cheap, affordability is a bigger factor at the end. And that will make a big difference in the final 10. It definitely does. If you want to see the top 10 without the affordability factored in, that's right before the top 10. Affordability is the last round. So yeah, here are those adjustments. Tritium, analog bonus. I took out all the GPS, all the Bluetooth, and then they need to be conservative or subdued appearance to the watch. Here are the rounds. So I took the scores from the original video series of the watches, and then they're going to be adjusted. The scores were reduced to a fraction of what they were before, and then we add on other points. Military looks, discretion. You don't want your watch to be too tactical necessarily. It's smaller. There's only 8 points for the discretion round. Wearability, illumination, brand strength, and affordability. Those are the same as the last one. Affordability has been boosted considerably for this one. Without further ado, let's get into it. As in the last top 10 video, the tactical one, I separated them into watch types to choose the finalists. And so there were 7 types. Altimeter, barometer, compass, digitals that aren't connected. Only 13 of these in the total population. So this column down here represents the semifinalists that I chose, and then the finalists. This adds up to 50. So there's 100 semifinalists, and then 50 finalists. You'll see them face off in the next slides. But there's a ton of simple analogs in the population, so we've got 12 of them in the final runoff. So I'm going to go through these in order. I'll start with the simple analogs and end with the ABC Digi. You can use the chapters if you want to skip ahead. Here are the 24 semifinalists of simple analog watches, just 3-hand watches. And basically, it goes 1, 2, 3, all the way down, and then they go backwards. So the top seeded one competes against the bottom seeded one, the 24th place, based on those original scores. All right, so who is in the finalists? There we go. And this is a really hard thing to do, to pit them up, one against the other, because you get weird matchups. For example, right here, Victorinox, 2nd seed, versus Casio Forester, 23rd seed. I thought the Forester had a better chance because it is so much cheaper. I think this Victorinox is almost $1,000 or something for quartz. The Forester is not very expensive, so I thought this one would do better. That's always how I choose which one wins, is like, which one do I think is actually going to perform better? KHS Platoon looks totally cool. It has tritium. I thought it would do better than the Baudry Voyager. So that's how I selected the semifinalists. There's a lot of tritium watches in this video, so that's really cool to see. And then these two here, I actually thought the Timex Expedition with the backlight would do better than the KHS Inceptor. All right, so this whole screen will be populated by the end of this. Right now, here's our 12 finalists for Simple Analog. And those finalists are the Bertucci A7TS Retrospec, Armourlite Mountaineer AL146, Bertucci A5S Ballista. And yes, this one is new for this video. I really tried to find which Bertuccis would do the absolute best. I think this one is really sweet. And actually the A7TS as well. This one has the recessed crystal even. It's very solid, 200 meters. MWC G10 SL Tritium, Ver C5 Tactical Field Solar, their Lume shots. Tracer P67 Officer Pro, the KHS Platoon Solar, Bertucci Construction King, the Timex Expedition Camper, and the Nite MX10, and their Lume shots. And finally, the Luminox Atacama Field Quartz, and the Casio Forester. So those were the Simple Analog, and now we're on to the dual time analog watches. There's only going to be 2 of these, because it was a very small population. Very, very small. Here are the semifinalists, that crazy Tudor P7. Marathon Navigator beats the Tudor. Sinn beats the Stirling. So these are the 2 dual time analogs that'll be in the final. And there they are in the orange square. That Marathon Navigator SS Nav D, the stainless steel version. That Sinn Overlord. And their Lume shots. We don't need the Lume shots now. They're just, it helped me to have those there. All right, next, this is a huge category. Timing bezel analog watches. We've got 24 semifinalists. There's a lot of timing bezel analog watches. And I will show you which ones made the final runoff. Here are the 12 finalists, the big ones. Again, this is kind of tough, like KHS Reaper versus Nite Hawk. You can make a case for that Nite Hawk for sure, but I went with the Reaper. They're very similar watches even. Same here, Bertucci versus the S&B Silverback. I went with the Bertucci. So those are the finalists. I added them to the screen, filling it up. The finalists are the ProTech USMC 1016D, the Ball Engineer Hydrocarbon EOD, Luminox Mil-Spec, Luminox Recon Point, the MWC P656 Tactical, their Lume shots, great Lume on the ball, Stirling Fraser, KHS Reaper Mark II, Bertucci A2TR Field Pro, Armourlite Operator, AL1501, Tudor Pelagos. Which one was Tudor against? Oh, it was against... That's a tough one, because this MTM is super cool. It's got a flashlight on it. But I went with the Tudor. Their Lumes, very cool Lume. And the Marathon G-Star Anthracite and the Marathon Jumbo Day Date. Probably didn't need both of them, but they're both in here. Both really cool watches. There's their Lume. All right, now we're on to Compass Bezel Analog. And there really aren't many of these. I don't think the Compass Bezel is something really used very much. I'd be surprised if people are using it a ton. It's a different look. But anyway, here are the 3 finalists. Up here in the yellow box, we've got the MTM Cobra 44, the Breitling Endurance Pro 44, the Bremont Supermarine Endurance Compass, and their Lume shots. All right, analog digital watches. Again, a small overall population. I decided to take 5 of these as finalists. Accordingly, there are 10 semifinalists. Maybe just one tough matchup, the Citizen ProMaster Land versus the Omega. And Omega is really expensive, and it's on a bracelet, so I went with the Citizen ProMaster Land. I think that's more viable in the military over the Skywalker. Those are up here in the green box. We've got the MTM Silencer, very cool watch. Does this thing have a... Yeah, the MTM has a flashlight on it. That's right. Momentum UDT, 42mm. Okay, Citizen ProMaster Land. The Seiko Arnie, it's got to be in there for Ana-Digis, right? And the Nixon Ripley. Those are the 5 finalists for Ana-Digis. Here are their Lume shots. All right, Simple Digital. I'm almost to the end of the finalists. Simple Digital, there's some tough matchups in here too. Here's how it shook out. Here are the finalists, the 12 finalists. Yeah, what was tough? Oh, Loris was a little bit too much red on it. You know, just for that, I kind of couldn't keep it. And I know that's subjective. I'm not actually, I've never been in the military. I don't know, but I'm just, as an outside observer, I'm trying to determine what is a conservative watch. You know, you shouldn't have bright colors, so these are the ones that are on here. All right, I put them here in the gray box. We just have one more box, the blue. The finalists for the Simple Digi are the Timex Ironman Shock Endure, Casio G-Shock DW5600, and on the DW5600. The reason the GWM 5610 is not in here is because that is atomic timekeeping. And I'm just trying to play it safe. I mean, obviously, if atomic isn't actually a concern for the military, go with the GWM 5610. But if atomic is a problem because of that radio receiver in your watch, DW5600 does not have any radio receiver. It's just a dumb digital watch. Does not receive radio signals. Got the RZE UTD 8000, Casio G-Shock Mudman G9000, and the Casio G-Shock DW 9052. And there are their backlights. Really cool backlight on that Mudman. 511 Division Digital. Yes, it's metal. Casio DW 290, the Mission Impossible watch. Nixon Regulus. The Casio W735H. Only $33. Vibration alarm. The Casio GD350. Gigantic monster watch. And here are their looms. That looks so cool, the GD350. And we have the Timex TW5M26700, Casio AE1600, and their looms. The last category is the ABC Digi, non-connected. So that excluded some of my faves. That took out my beloved Casio ProTrek PRW35Y. That one's not in this video for military. It does have the atomic timekeeping. That was what kicked it out. But anyway, here are the ones with no atomic timekeeping, no connection, no GPS, none of that stuff. But they can detect altimeter, barometer, compass, so that's pretty sweet. Here are the 4 that made it. I don't feel bad about these matchups. They're all pretty clear. This one right here, the SGW, whatever that is, it may have done a little better than the Suunto, but you know, Suunto is really what you see in the military. So Suunto had to win that matchup. And those ABC Digis were the Casio ProTrek PRG340B, Casio ProTrek PRG270, and the Nixon Regulus Expedition, and the Suunto Core Alpha. And here are their loom shots. Good looking loom all around. Okay, we have the 50 finalists that are all on the screen here. And here are all the loom shots on one screen. Really more for my use than yours, but there they are. Reviewing again what the 6 runoff rounds will be. Military looks, discretion, wearability, illumination, brand strength, affordability. I'll explain the nuance of these as we go through them. Before the runoff rounds, here is how they would stack up just based on their score. These would be the top 10 of the whole video if I didn't take subjective factors into consideration. The ProTech actually would win. The ProTech would be right in top. Ball Engineer Hydrocarbon would be next. These would be the top 10, but they will not be the exact top 10 at the end because I'm going to look at subjective factors. And we'll keep an eye on the Seiko Arnie. This watch is much loved. And so we'll keep an eye on it, see how it goes up and down. It's in 33rd place. It has a tough hill to climb if it's going to defeat these other ones. It's possible, though, if it excelled at every subjective round, it would easily be first place. The way I set this thing up, everybody has a chance pretty much. But these ones you see here would also have to do really poorly. If the Seiko's the best, it'll end up in first place, is the bottom line. And now the runoff rounds. Here we are at the runoff rounds. Starting with military looks. Round 1 is military looks. So I did military looks and discretion. And they couldn't just be opposite of each other because then I just have the exact opposite. So I tried to think, how do I have these seemingly contradictory ideas, but they still balance? Like you could still have a watch that could excel at both. Well, military looks means it's suitable for the military. If you see a soldier wearing it, you're not like, what is that weird watch? It's like, yeah, that looks like a piece of his equipment. Maybe it's even issued to them. Some of these ones near the top are actually issued. They shouldn't necessarily look super premium. That's not what you're going for. You're going for a tool. Tactical is good. That helps it for military looks. Rugged, high speed. So this was easy. Putting them in military order, I thought that was pretty easy. But so this is how I rank them for military looks. You've got ones at the bottom. I don't think the Tudor Pelagos looks very military. It doesn't to me. I know these high speed guys, I think they sometimes like watches which are different. They don't necessarily look like what other guys would have. And this round gives it 14 points. After round 1, these 4 are out of the top 10. Ball Engineer went down 10 places. It's now in 12th place instead of 2nd place. Casio ProTrek PRG, way down. Momentum is down. Iron Man, not super military looking. It's not that it looks totally out of place. It's just there's other watches that look more military than this one. So it went down 5 spots. Not a huge fall. It's in 11th place, right under the top 10. Here's the top 10 after all that. Seiko Arnie actually went down a little bit too. MWC looks very military. It jumped up 6 places. Marathon Navigator jumped up considerably. It was very near the top in that chart. And some of these other ones moved a little bit. I only show arrows for moves of 4 or greater. The Mudman is up here. Bertucci joined the party. That Reaper joined the party. Yeah, more military looking watches here. Okay. Round 2, discretion. Like the watch should look discreet, not tactical. Shouldn't stick out like a sore thumb. And the idea is just that the watch looks normal looking. And an example of a watch that did pretty well in both is this Navigator. You know, it's kind of middle of the pack for discretion, but it was really high for military looks, so that really benefits it. Because it doesn't necessarily look like only a military guy could have it. It does kind of look normal looking. If you see a guy on the street on this, he could be a soldier, but he doesn't have to be. Like, it's something people who aren't in the military are going to wear as well. Same thing with a lot of these Casios, the DW5600. You're going to see normal guys wearing that. The Timex. It's whereas some of these other ones down near the bottom, they really do kind of look just military. And yeah, normal guys will wear all this stuff too, but it really does have more of that military vibe than, say, the DW5600. Or especially like the Nixon. That doesn't even look military at all. So after the discretion round 2, Reaper's out, Mudman's out. These all look very military. So those went down. They're not out of the running. We still have 4 more rounds, but they were hurt by the discretion round. All right, the top 10 after that round, Timex Ironman's right back up, actually in the top 5. Arnie gained a couple points. Ball's back in the party. PRG's back in the party. Sterling Fraser, that looks like a normal watch too. Now we're on to round 3, wearability. The only subjective part of this is what I do here with the ratios. So how these watches compare to each other in weight, thickness, and width gives them a score out of 100, and then they're put in order, and that determines how much of the 12 points they get. So this Timex Expedition camper up here, it's very light, very thin, it's not very wide. It won. It's the most wearable of the watches on the screen. Marathon Jumbo Day Date, it's very big. I think it's 46 millimeter, but it's also heavy because it's steel. This GD350, that is very thick and very, very wide. It's like 53 millimeters wide. Huge watch. So after wearability, PRG 340 is out. It's very big. MTM silencer's out. That one's heavy. I think that's the issue with this one. Even though I think it might be titanium. It's just we have so many plastic watches in here, you know, and that's what it's competing against, is watches that are going to be lighter and more wearable than this one. All right, so after wearability, Navigator's in the top 3. It's a wearable size, even though it's steel. You know, the plastic one might even have done better than the steel one. I think it's cheaper too. Navigator's a great watch. Ball lost some positioning here because it's steel. I don't even know why this Luminox went down. It's made of forged carbon. It should be fairly light. Arnie lost a lot of points. It's near the bottom. There's only 50 finalists. It's in 45th place. Not looking so good for Seiko. But that brings us to round 4, Illumination. And I wasn't just going for what's the brightest thing shining in your face, because obviously that would be the backlights. Really, I was thinking, so the point of the illumination is so you can easily see the time in the dark. I've got a tritium watch on myself. You just glance down at it, it's very consistent, it's always there. It's not too bright. So consistency, the amount of information, it's got a second hand illuminated, that's nice. Some of these even have a bezel pip illuminated in the dark, even with a tritium tube. That's the best in my opinion for military. The hands-free thing, meaning you don't have to press a button to make the light come on. So these were kind of the factors I considered, and I basically did by types. Tritium, full lume, there's no full lume ones in here. Combination ones like the Citizen ProMaster Land, those go pretty high. Then backlight, and conventional lume is just at the bottom. And some may argue Tudor Pelagos is better than the backlight. I think backlight is more consistent. Even if it's 3 in the morning, you press that button, it's going to be the same as any other time of the night. This Tudor Pelagos, it's going to be a lot more dim. Really early in the morning, this is going to start to fade. So that's how I rank them. And the illumination round's worth 8 points. So after round 4, these Bertuccis are out. Let me show you the Bertuccis. They're way down here at the bottom. You don't get any numbers. Comparing it to all the other ones, these have the worst lume. It's serviceable lume, it's not as good as some of the other ones. And that's one of the downsides to Bertucci. And there are Bertuccis with tritium. Here's a Bertucci with tritium right up, the A5S Ballista is near the top. That's really nice lume that they have on this one. It's got the tritium and conventional mixed in. That looks really good. So after round 4, as I said, yeah, those Bertuccis are out. Sterling Fraser went down 3 spots, just below the top 10. So after the illumination round, here's where we're at. This Luminox mil-spec jumped up to 2nd place. We've got some other tritium watches that joined the party. The Seiko Arnie actually went up 6 places because it's got that cool combination the backlight and conventional lume mixed together. It's really nice. Kind of gives you the hands-free option, and then if it's dim, you can use that backlight too. So that's really nice to have. Round 5, brand strength. And this is taken from watchcharts.com. They track watch sales even on the secondary market to determine what are the most sought after watch brands. Seiko, of all the ones on the screen, is the top. Seiko's the top brand. We've got Breitling, Tudor, very sought after watch brands. And Watch Charts stops somewhere around maybe Bertucci. I don't think these other ones even appear in Watch Charts, but I just rank them according to what I thought their popularity is in the market. And that is subjective, but this is worth 10 points. And all the Casios get the same scoring. That's why I have the boxes. So you don't think this PRG gets more points than the GD350. They get the same rating. I'm just ranking the brands here. So after round 5, the only one that's out is the KHS. It's the only one that left the top 10. And the Casio joined it, because Casio has phenomenal brand strength. Seiko's great brand strength only gave the Arnie 8 more spots. So it's up in the 31st place. A little bit better than it did at the beginning, but it had some bad rounds in there. Wearability, for example, it's a big watch, those kinds of things. All right, and the final round is affordability. I think this is the same slide that I used in the last video, except now it's a 20-point penalty. And we've got math here to show what the penalties will be. The Ironman's only going to get a 3-point penalty, whereas the Tudor will get a 20-point penalty. Someone in the military is going to prefer an $89 watch over a $4,450 watch. So that's a huge factor in which watch somebody will choose. Because how can I recommend watches that are just way too expensive? That's always my philosophy. And after round 6, Seiko ends at 34th place. Pretty much the same as it was before. Not the best option for military use, in my opinion. It's still really cool. And all the watches in this video are viable. All 100 even. Even the semifinalists. I think they're all viable military watches. I'm just trying to find the absolute top 10 best. So Seiko was not there. And now I'm ready to show you the top 10 military watches. 10th place is the MWC P656 Tactical. It's 42 millimeters across, it's 14 thick, $410. Its original score is 89. After all the subjective stuff, its score is 88. So pretty much where it started. I think it has fantastic military looks. It's totally gonna look appropriate with your uniform. It's gonna fit right in. Discretion is very low. It's not a very discreet watch. It definitely looks military. Pretty wearable. Fantastic illumination. There's that illumination. It's tritium. It's gonna be sweet. Unfortunately, it's not super affordable. So that's the main downside of this one. $410 is a lot. That's the number 10. 9th place is the Casio G-Shock DW9052V-1. It just says corrected because I had the black screen before. This is the light screen. Positive displays, if you don't know, are always more readable than the negative displays. i.e. positive meaning light background, dark numerals. Those look better in most light. It's 43 millimeters. It's 14.7. It's kind of a big watch, but it's only $75. And that's why it's up here. It had a very small affordability penalty. This is a cool one. Backlight is going to be totally suitable. That final round boosted at 7 places, so that's what this arrow means. In 8th place is the Casio DW290, the Mission Impossible watch. It's 46.8 across. It's kind of big, 14.3. Yeah, how did it do for wearability? It's below average for wearability of all the ones we looked at. It's on the bigger side, but it's light because it's plastic, so that's good. Military looks are pretty good. Discretion's okay. You take these two together, it's slightly above average in the wash. So that's good. Wasn't on either extreme. Great brand strength with Casio, only $55. Illumination looks good on this. Oh, and I did modify it slightly, and I suggest you do this if you're wanting to wear it for military use. So the stock one looks like this with the teal lettering. I think that's a little bit loud. So I would recommend buffing that off with a little bit of sandpaper, removing the letters. That's what I did for the image. I think that's better for military use. Maybe I'm wrong, but you're gonna have a better chance of having this be considered conservative if you remove that bright teal that's on the case. 7th place is the Casio W735H. It's on the larger size, 47 across, 16 thick, but it's very cheap, $33. So that's how it got up here. with that affordability factored in, it jumped way, way up at the end. Definitely one of the twists, final twists here. I think this is good for military use because it's only 33 bucks. That's really the thing. You do get a vibration alarm. Backlight is going to be good. I even like that you have a button in the middle for that light. That's pretty sweet. That was my number 7. 6th place is the Luminox Mil-Spec XL 3351. It's 46 across and 14 thick. So that's why it did poorly for wearability. A little bit below average, the ones I looked at. It's got great military looks. It's not very discreet, not discreet whatsoever. Illumination is so good on this. I really love the blue and the yellow. And you do get conventional lume on the second hand too. So that's going to work for most of the night, maybe even all the way till the morning. It's not as consistent as a tritium tube. As I mentioned before, it makes the watch thinner that you don't have a tube on there. A tube on that hand would probably add a millimeter to the total thickness of the watch. This is an actual dive watch, 300 meters of water resistance. Great option. And in 5th place is the Marathon Navigator Stainless Steel Nav-D. 41 across, great size, 11 thick. 980 bucks. That is the thing holding it back from being higher in the rankings than it is. It got a huge affordability penalty here. 12 points off. So if it wasn't for affordability, it'd probably be in the first place. Well, no, it wouldn't. Okay. Yeah, as I said, if you want to know how these watches rank without affordability factored in, if you just have a ton of money, here they go. Here's my top 10 without affordability considered. But yeah, the affordability in, it's in 5th place instead of 2nd. Definitely a great watch. One of my friends who's in the military said he's been issued a few of these over the years. Maybe not the stainless steel one, but this, the plastic one. And he really liked that watch. Ton of nice lume here. In a lot of ways, these dual-time bezels are more useful than the ones with the minutes on them because it's very easy to multiply by 5. We're used to doing that anyway. You see 3, you can just think 15. You see 6, you can just think 30. We're used to thinking of 30 when we see a 6. So you can use this as an elapsed timer very, very easily. You can also do the dual time very easily. You can just rotate it a couple over to do a 2-hour offset or whatever. The time in another time zone, which is very useful if you're in the military, if you're in far off places. Yeah, you can do your 11.5-hour offset. Just know it's the opposite of you, AM or PM. 4th place is the Timex Expedition Camper, 38 millimeters, very wearable. It's not going to interfere with anything. Only 10.5 thick. So it's a very thin watch. If you get that nice Indiglow, you just press the crown and then it glows like this. That's so sweet. And it's only 53 bucks. Timex is really nice. It's a very American watch too. Marathon's Canadian, Casio's Japanese. Timex is American. It's an American watch. I do like that. This went up a lot at the end, went up 9 spots. Okay, and this is another one you're gonna have to modify, probably. The stock watch has this bright red here. Oh, and there's bright red on the band too. Yeah, there's bright red on the bottom too. Just take a permanent marker and go over those red stitching. Or swap the band or something, but the red is a little bit loud. In 3rd place is the ProTech USMC 1016D. 42 across, 14 thick, 525 bucks. So it is more expensive. It's one of the more expensive ones. It literally says United States Marine Corps on it, so probably good to wear this if you're in the Marine Corps. Great military looks, somewhat discreet. It's very wearable. It's going to be super light on that with that forged carbon case. Tritium is going to be great. They have a tube in the bezel itself. That's really nice. I love when they do that. The main downside is how expensive it is. That's my number 3. 2nd place is the Casio G-Shock DW5600. It's basically 43 across, 13.4 thick, only 100 bucks. And again, if atomic is okay, just get the GWM5610. I'm still unsure about the atomic timekeeping because of the radio receiver. The 5600 is going to be good too. The electroluminescent backlight is really nice. It's a good option, but it's not the best. I think the best military watch is the Timex Ironman Shock Endure. It's about 1 millimeter less wide across. It's only 42. It's 2 millimeters thinner, and it's cheaper. It's 89 bucks. Doesn't look very military. It only got 6 out of 14 points, so it's on the lower half. It is suitable. I don't think it's going to look weird. If you're in the military, I don't think it's going to look weird to have this watch by any means. There's just some that look the part a little bit better than this one, but it is very discreet. It's just a normal looking watch, normal looking digital watch. Backlight is suitable. Great brand strength on Timex, and it really doesn't cost very much. So that was my number 1. Yeah, here are the top 5, and then here are the bottom 5 in the top 10. Those are my top 10 military watches. And I did check what would happen if I just had a smaller affordability penalty. And there's not a significant difference. In pink are the digitals and the whites are analog. So I was thinking like, oh, would there have been more analogs in the top 10 if I reduced the affordability penalty? And yes, there would have been. Would have been more analogs, but I stuck with the -20. I think that was the way to go. Now I'll show you the 5 runners-up. First runner-up is the Casio G-Shock Mudman G9000. It's 46.3. It's a huge watch. 16.3 thick. $110. Backlight is really, really cool. And why did I go with the dark one? Well, here's the light one. Really bright red buttons. I don't think this looks conservative. I don't think that's great with your uniform. The other one's going to be better. And I did change the scorecard so that this one does have the negative display penalty of 2 points. But it still ended up as the first runner-up. I think this is suitable, definitely suitable for military use. Second runner-up is the Armourlite Mountaineer AL146. It got kicked down because of affordability. And $290 is not by any means the most expensive, but just with how the other watches worked, some other ones took its place that were cheaper. All 3 of these Casios here are cheaper, way cheaper. So they kind of took its spot. Definitely a suitable watch. It's great size. Only for a tritium watch to be less than 11 millimeters thick is fantastic. Tritium's going to look good on this. You even get it on the second hand. So they did a great job with the thickness. You get screw bars. Those are really good. They're much more robust than spring bars. So this has a lot going for it. Armourlite Mountaineer is fantastic. I think that's the highest rated simple analog watch. No bezel or anything, just basic analog watch. This one scores the best. Third runner-up is the Casio Forester. 42 millimeters, 12.6 thick, only $36. Yeah, I think this is a good one. I think this is a good one to take. You have a light on it, just a flashlight basically. If you need to see the time, just press that button right here and you'll see the time totally fine. Relatively discreet. It didn't really look very military and it wasn't super discreet either. So it didn't fare well for that, but it's very wearable. It's one of the most wearable watches. Very light, good size. Fourth runner-up is the Casio ProTrek PRG 340B. The first Altibero compass we've seen. Those ones just didn't do as well. They really have more of a hiking look to them. So for military, they didn't do as well. Now there's a guy on Watch Crunch who has this watch. Not the blue one. I think he has a brown one. I think he has the brown one. And he's always showing pictures in training of he's got this watch. So I know it's used in the military, at least by that one dude. It is large. That's one of the things that hurt it. And then the military looks. Yeah, maybe I should have done the brown one. Maybe I would have scored a little higher. Illumination is really nice on this. And it's a runner-up, so that's good. Final score of 85. Oh yeah, price is what hurt it. It's $260. That's why Casios is planted it. Before affordability, it was in the top 10. It got kicked down these 4 spots because there's cheaper options. That's what happened. If you've got the money and you like this one, it's a great choice. All right, fifth runner-up is the Casio AE1600. It's strangely gigantic. It's 50 millimeters across. It's 15.9 thick. If you're concerned about size, I would go with this one, the 9052 instead. It does cost more though, it's $75. If you're super concerned about size and you still want a cheap watch, go with the Timex Expedition Camper. But anyway, we've got the Casio. It's got that orange backlight, cool shape and everything. Definitely a decent choice for military. Wow, it jumped up 21 spots at the end. That is crazy. All right, so those are the 5 runners-up. Now I've got a couple bonus rounds. I'll show you those. The first one is the top 3 Ana-Digis. There were no Ana-Digis in the top 10, so I'll show you the top 3, the ones that scored the best. The one with the best rank was the Citizen ProMaster Land, 31st place. Killer loom on it. It looks so cool. And they did redo the Skyhawk with this same format. Totally sweet watch. Internal rotating compass bezel. A lot of cool stuff on this thing. The second highest rated Ana-Digi watch was the Seiko Arnie. So we saw before, it ended in 34th place. If you really like Ana-Digi, this is a fantastic option for that. Cool loom with the backlight and the conventional loom. You even get a bezel pip. This one's also solar, 200 meters water resistance. Very robust watch. And the third highest rated Ana-Digi option is the Momentum UDT. It's a cool one. Really disappointing that you don't get backlight though. That is super unfortunate. But it's a cool option. I'm glad they have this watch available. There they are, the top 3 Ana-Digis. I have one more bonus round. The 5 next simple analog ones. Because I think there was only one, right? Is that right? In the top 10, we only had one simple analog watch. Got 4th place though, Expedition Camper. And in the runners-up, there's actually a couple simple analogs. Here are the 5 next, if you just really like simple analog watches. Got the KHS Platoon Solar watch with tritium tubes. Really sweet looking. Kind of expensive though. Great wearing size. Next one is the MWC G10. Looking very old school. A little bit cheaper than the KHS. Great lume. You get 2 tritium tubes at 12 o'clock. That's nice. Next one is the Bertucci A7TS Retrospec. Its final rank was 25th place. I really wanted a Bertucci to do super well, but they just didn't. Some of it is that the military looks are just not there. At least on this one. This kind of just looked like a normal watch compared to these other options. You have to compare it to the other ones that are in the video. But at the same time, it's not super discreet either. So yeah, it didn't fare so well on those subjective factors. It is very wearable. This one though, the illumination is not great. Very thin little slivers of lume on the indexes, and it's the conventional lume. I think a backlight is better. I think tritium's better, which is what all its competitors had. So it didn't really have much of a chance with illumination. Brand strength as well. Bertucci, it's not a Casio, it's not a Seiko. And then it is kind of expensive. It's $325. There's a lot cheaper options than, the Timex Expedition Camper. You could buy 5 Timex Expedition Campers for the price of this thing. All that stuff kind of hurts it. The next Bertucci, it's a little bit similar story. This one does have nice lume, but it's not as wearable. It's a lot bigger. It's a 45 millimeter. Really cool lume on this. I mean, these are viable options. Like I said, everything in this video is viable. It's not top of the pack. But if you really like it, please don't let me stop you. It's a really cool watch. Very expensive though, $545. That really hurt it at the end. And the last one I want to show you is the Tracer P67 Officer Pro. It had a final rank of 29th place. Again, they're expensive. And the tritium is cool, but not cool enough to save it. I think just a cheap digital watch with a backlight, or even the Timex with the backlight, those are better for military use. I'm not saying this is bad for military use. It's just, if it's your money and you're going to spend it, you get more value for money with some other things. As I do in all these videos, I like to talk about the Bible at the end. So that's what I'm going to do now. It's Bible time. All right, welcome to Bible time. I'm not a pastor or trained biblical scholar. I just love sharing Bible passages with people. Today, I'm continuing the series on the Hebrews 11 Hall of Faith. Previously, I covered Abel, Enoch, Noah, Abraham, and Sarah. And now is the 6th named person in this passage, Isaac. Since I get the characters mixed up, I'll assume that others do too. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. To keep all the subjects of the story straight, I'll call Isaac the dad, Jacob and Esau are his 2 sons, and Abraham is the grandpa. I'll just throw those words in to keep everything straight throughout. I think that'll help keep the story straight. First, let's start with the Hall of Faith passage. It's in Hebrews 11, verse 20. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau in regard to their future. So dad Isaac blessed his 2 sons, Jacob and Esau. And Hebrews says that's evidence of Isaac's faith. Enough evidence to land him in the Hall of Faith. And Hebrews really doesn't give us a lot to work with here. It's a very short sentence. So I'll flesh out the story a little bit, give you some backstory. So here's some of that backstory. The brothers were twins, Jacob and Esau. Esau came out first, so he was technically the eldest. Jacob was grabbing his heel as he emerged from the birth canal. And Jacob, it's Yaakov. It actually means heel catcher or supplanter. And it comes from the word heel. And that's Strong's reference 6117. Akeb. Yaakov comes from heel catcher. So when the brothers were in the womb, they fought with each other a lot, these 2 twin brothers. So their mom, Rebecca, asked the Lord, what was going on? Why are my babies fighting? And this is what the Lord told her. This is Genesis 25, verse 23. The Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. So she received this prophecy, and they do become 2 nations. Jacob becomes the father of Israel, and Esau becomes the father of Edom. Those 2 nations, Edom and Israel, quarrel throughout history, and it's recorded. But right out of the womb, that firstborn son, Esau, was a hairy baby, and he became a hunter. And then Jacob, his brother, was content to stay at home among the tents. That's what it says in Genesis. So the father, Isaac, loved his son Esau for the wild game that Esau would bring him. He was a man of the field. And then the mom, Rebecca, loved Jacob, presumably because he liked to stay at home with her. That all makes sense. So the parents kind of had a preference for the children that way. I'm not going to dwell on their whole lives, but a next important moment in their lives is that Esau comes back from hunting, and Jacob was making stew, and Esau was really hungry. And Jacob actually purchased Esau's birthright, because when you're the eldest, you have a birthright. He purchased that birthright with a bowl of stew. And Esau had a totally flippant attitude about life and responsibility, and he was willing to squander his birthright for practically nothing. So, because of that, you can tell he clearly was not the right son to carry on the family legacy. Isaac sought to take that. He's the supplanter, the heel catcher. And the story gets even sillier. It's kind of silly that he sold his birthright for stew, but it gets even sillier. When the dad, Isaac, was on his deathbed, Jacob and his mom, Rebecca, conspired to trick the dad, Isaac, into giving him Esau's firstborn blessing. So they put goat skins on Jacob's hands and neck so that he would be hairy. Presumably, Isaac was pretty blind at that point. Jacob straight up lied to his father, Isaac. So Isaac asked him, "Oh, who are you? Who's there?" And he said, "Oh, I'm Esau." So he lied. He tricked his dad, and that was very bad. And Jacob bore the consequences for a long time. There's a lot of consequences to that sin. Probably didn't need to go down this way. This is what happened. The deception worked. Isaac was tricked, and Isaac blessed Jacob as if he was Esau the firstborn. So he gave the firstborn blessing to the secondborn son. And here's the blessing that Isaac gave to Jacob. Genesis 27, verses 27 through 29. So he went to him and kissed him. Jacob went to his dad and kissed him, because that's why he needed the hair on his neck. When Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, the furs, he blessed him and said, "Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you heaven's dew and earth's richness, an abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed." Some of that's not really a blessing to his son Jacob, who he thinks is Esau, because it's talking about a nation, give you heaven's dew and earth's richness. It's like, may you live in an abundant land, and all the people, the country, the nation that's going to come from you, have bountiful harvests, an abundance of grain and new wine. So this is a pretty big blessing. He clearly believes that Jacob is going to be a father of a great nation. Be Lord over your brothers. That's interesting too. So in that blessing, he's already kind of saying that, hey, there's been a switch here. You're going to be the top dog. I do suspect that he was in on the ruse, but we'll get into that more a little later. That blessing that the father Isaac gave to his son Jacob, who he thought was his son Esau, it mirrors the blessing that the grandpa Abraham received back in Genesis 12, verses 2 and 3, major covenant. And that reads, "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." So that line in the third verse especially, that was in there. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed. That sentiment carried right over. That's why I say it mirrored the Abraham passage. Right after he gives the blessing, Esau comes back from hunting, finds out about the deception, and he's very upset. And he begs his father Isaac to give him a blessing too. And here's the blessing that Father Isaac gave to his firstborn son Esau after the treachery was uncovered. Isaac actually just told Esau that he made Jacob lord over Esau. He's like, "Oh, I can't take it back. I made the blessing. Your younger brother is now the big dog. He's going to rule over you." So this blessing was a big deal and couldn't be taken back. It's kind of odd because, like, in contract law, if there's deception like this, it usually voids whatever contract happened, And I assume that could have been some kind of similar at those times. That's another reason why I think that Isaac may have been in on it. But anyway, here's that blessing that he gave to Esau. So this comes from Genesis 27, verses 36 and 40. I went back a little so you get a little more context. So Esau said, Isn't he rightly named Jacob? This is the second time he has taken advantage of me. He took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing. Then he asked, haven't you reserved any blessing for me? And yeah, he was a willing participant in the stew thing. Like, he's trying to play it off like it's not his fault. He didn't care about his birthright all that much. Isaac answered Esau, I have made him lord over you, and have made all his relatives his servants, and I have sustained him with grain and new wine. So what can I possibly do for you, my son? Esau said to his father, do you only have one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father. Then Esau wept aloud. Mighty hairy man in the field is really upset by this. Continuing, his father Isaac answered him, your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the dew of heaven above. You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother. But when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from off your neck. That's all prophetic there. It all comes to pass. The nation of Edom does occupy not the best land for growing stuff, just as was said here, away from the earth's richness. Live by the sword, they're kind of a warring nation. They serve Israel for a long time, but eventually that nation Edom does throw off the yoke from their neck. And that's in 2 Kings. I guess I'll pull it up. I didn't want to get too deep into this, but I think may as well mention it here. So in 2 Kings 8, verse 20, in the time of Jehoram, Edom rebelled against Judah and set up its own king. And Judah's, nation of Israel split into Judah and Israel, but it's all started from the same thing at the beginning. So Jehoram went to Zaire with all his chariots. The Edomites surrounded him and his chariot commanders, but he rose up and broke through by night. His army, however, fled back home. To this day, Edom has been in rebellion against Judah. Libnah revolted at the same time. The prophecy did come to pass that Edom became restless and threw the yoke of Israel off their neck, or Judah. Returning to the story, firstborn Esau was so mad at his brother Jacob that mom Rebekah was afraid Esau would kill him. She was actually worried Esau was so mad. And I'll point out here, I've been mentioning this already, but some Bible commentaries put forth a theory that Isaac was actually aware of the deception. That's certainly how I read it the first time. It seems a little bit farcical. I said things were silly. It seems a little too silly to pass muster. And it's unclear whether or not Rebekah shared that prophecy from the beginning, when they were warring in her womb, and the Lord told her that the older would serve the younger. I think it's pretty likely that Isaac was aware of that. That would certainly explain it, if so. So that would be Isaac just following God's plan for how this would turn out. But from what I read, nobody's really certain whether or not Isaac knew or not. It's not clear. I think it's pretty clear, but some say it's not clear. And there's a ton I could say about Jacob, and I would like to. His story is very interesting. Really, really interesting story. But he's the next one in the Hall of Faith, so I'll save that for next time. I have a little more to say about Isaac. There's actually not much more in the Bible to say about this. But, as for how Isaac, the father, and how he's blessing his sons is evidence of his faith. Hebrews 11 doesn't give us a ton. It just says, by faith, and he blessed them. That blessing that Isaac gave very closely mirrored God's blessing to Grandpa Abraham. And that shows that Isaac believed in that covenant and believed it would be fulfilled in future generations, hope for the future. And I suppose it also showed Isaac's acceptance in God's sovereignty over the situation as well. He made the blessing, and you know what? That was God's will. We're just rolling with it. And also the fact he rolled with it, I think that's other evidence why he was probably aware of that prophecy that Rebekah received. Him giving the blessing aligns with that definition of faith that was given at the beginning of the Hall of Faith. Hebrews 11, verse 1, now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Isaac wasn't there when God gave that blessing to Abraham that I read earlier, but he believed anyway. Father Isaac believed that Grandpa Abraham's covenant was real, that it was going to be fulfilled in future generations. And the Bible says that God's covenant with Abraham happened when Abraham was 75 years old. Isaac wasn't born until Abraham was 100. So 25 years before he was born, God made that covenant with Abraham. But he still believed it. Isaac believed it because his dad told him about it. And that's assurance about what we do not see. The Hall of Faith definition of faith. So, believing things that we haven't seen ourselves. We can do the same thing. We should believe. We should also be discerning, like the Bereans, and test to make sure things are real. And Isaac easily could ask God at any time. The Bible doesn't record it, but he easily could have asked God, is this true? And received an answer. That's all I have on Isaac, and the next time I'll cover Jacob. If you want additional biblical analysis, please check out the 4 pastors I've linked in the description. They're all great. It's really excellent to listen to people talk about the Bible. It certainly helps me with my walk with God. But now for a prayer. Lord, thank you for these patriarchs of the faith, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and prophets, and all these figures in the Bible. There's so much we can learn by just becoming familiar with their stories, and pondering the meaning of what happens. And I don't know if I would have that same faith in future things to happen and generations far beyond me. Lord, I pray that you would give me that faith. And I pray you would help me to think about the future generations and just recognize that there are great things that may happen that I may never see, but it's all within your will. I trust in your plan for our lives, and that you can work out things to great ends that will glorify you. I thank you, Lord, for your word you've given us. And I love you, Lord. Pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Now may the Lord of peace himself give you peace always and in every way. The Lord be with you all. See you next time.